All right, aloha everybody. My name is Chris Atronik. I'm the PIO for the Honolulu Ocean Safety. Thank you for coming out to Tower 2 Echo here at District 1, where we've been experiencing some elevated surf as well as the expected effects of Tropical Storm Lala. So with that, we have some special guests. But first, I'd like to introduce our Chief of Ocean Safety to tell us more about what happened the past couple days, as well as what we're expecting from Tropical Storm Lala. Chief Kurt Lager.
Aloha and good afternoon. My name's Kurt Lager. I'm the Chief of the Honolulu Ocean Safety Department. I just wanted to go over a few things today on what our department has been seeing the last few days, what we're preparing for, and what we're expecting as this tropical storm approaches the Hawaiian Islands. First off, we've started preparations several days ago, if not a week ago. We've been monitoring the storm well before it got organized, making preparations with all of our staff and communicating throughout the department in preparation. The one thing ocean safety typically sees when we have these type of storm events is that we get surf impacts well ahead of any kind of weather impact. So what we've seen, and this is actually unrelated to the storm right now, but we're getting a south swell. We had a high surf advisory just recently. So the lifeguards on the south shores for the last few days have already been busy, making over 300 rescues and 7,000 preventative actions. So they're coming off a busy few days right into what we're expecting to be a busy weekend. While the south swell is going down, we are expecting an increase in surf starting tomorrow as the storm comes south of us and then passes the island. The surf will come up very quickly. We're going to see ocean conditions and currents, waves change very quickly and unexpectedly. So our message today is just a word of caution. We want people to be prepared, be respectful, and just know that conditions can change at any time. With our preparations, ocean safety is being focused on all of our staffing around the island. We are staffing extra lifeguards in towers. We are staffing extra lifeguards on jet skis. We are going to strategically locate extra jet skis along the southern and eastern shores to respond to any emergencies that we see from the quickly rising surf, as well as potentially any flooding or other needs that the community sees. We're also securing all our equipment. Behind us, we have a lifeguard tower. We have 44 lifeguard towers around the island that's open 7 days a week. Lifeguards are typically watching the water, making preventative actions and rescues. However, if the winds hit about 45 miles per hour sustained, for safety reasons, you might see the towers get shuttered or the flaps being closed. That does not mean that the lifeguards are off duty. It's an employee safety issue. We are pulling the lifeguards out of the towers, and that's where we will rely more on a mobile response to 911 calls and be patrolling the beaches in our trucks and via jet skis. So if you see the towers closed, the signs will say call 911, and that is the fastest way to get help to you. The biggest thing that we're focusing on today is prevention. I always say that ocean safety is in the business of prevention. We make preventative actions daily, and what that means is we're talking to someone, we're educating the public, whether you're a visitor or a resident, about the hazards that exist, whether that's the surf, a current, reef, sudden drop-offs, etc. We want to educate you and give you safer alternatives before the injury or incident ever occurs. With that being said, I mentioned earlier that we are expecting some high surf on the southern eastern shores. We do have areas that we're very concerned about, and we want you to be aware and stay aware of. Stay well away from. Some of these areas are out in the Portlock area, China Walls, Spinning Caves, and then going around to Makapu'u, we have the Makapu'u tide pools. It is historically very dangerous, and we have lost lives over there from people going too close to the water, too close to the rock ledge, and then getting swept off by waves. That is the point of the island where we're going to see the biggest impacts from this storm surf-wise, so we just want everyone to exercise caution when you're in that area. Lastly, what I would like to say is if you are planning on coming to the beach and you see lifeguards in the towers, please check with our lifeguards before you go into the water. They will have the most up-to-date information on the conditions that you're seeing. Oftentimes, as it does right this minute, it looks very calm, but then there will be periods of large surf that may come and catch you off guard. Talk to our lifeguards, find out what the latest conditions and what they've been seeing for the last few hours. I also want to mention that we have been coordinating with the city departments and our other first responders with the Department of Emergency Management and the EOC, the fire, police, and Emergency Services Department. We will have representatives in the EOC and our Joint Operations Center. Ocean safety is prepared for this storm. Our lifeguards are prepared. We will be ready for whatever impacts come, and I will be ready to answer any questions. I think at this time I'm going to invite up the Honorable Mayor Rick Blangiardi.
Thank you, Kurt. Good job. Well, let me just address the reason why we called this press conference first and foremost, and that is this was about Lifeguard Appreciation Week, of which I have an appreciation here. And we actually deemed August 17th to the 23rd as a week in which we would express our appreciation for our incredible lifeguards. So I'm not going to read this proclamation. Kurt just gave you a good insight to things, but let me just say a couple of things about the men and women who comprise ocean safety, because I really have the utmost respect. You know, we have these beautiful beaches. It looks so serene. It's so inviting. You know, and as you travel around the island, you know, the beaches become even more exotic and more beautiful. And as attractive as they are, as seductive as they are to go into, we all know full well they can be extremely dangerous, especially for people who aren't equipped to deal with currents and the waves and everything else. And these men and women, day in and day out, around this island, the 227 miles of coastline, are willing at any point in time, anywhere, under any circumstance, to put their life on the line, to go into those waters and save somebody. And if you've ever been involved in a rescue, trying to save a drowning person is a really precarious event, because people are desperate, they're scared, they're fighting for their lives. It's not easily done. And the elements, if you will, the quality and the fierce force of the waves and everything else that you deal with only makes it that much more difficult. And time again, without any acknowledgement, the men and women of our department do that. You know, and they prevent people from going in bad waters on the beach, but oftentimes people do get out there, they get in trouble. So, you know, this proclamation doesn't say enough about their bravery and their courage. People who are willing to put their life on the line for absolute strangers in very challenging, difficult situations, believe me, that is really uncommon. That is extremely rare. Not many people would even think about doing that, much less do it. So I have nothing but the heartfelt respect for our ocean safety team. They are, not only in my opinion, renowned around the world to be some of the best, if not the best, watermen and women in the planet. We're so grateful to have them here. So this proclamation is to acknowledge that. I'm very proud of him. Kurt Lager, we could not have asked for a better chief than we have in him. So with that, Kurt, why don't you come up, we'll accept this, and congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo what he said. I just want to thank all the lifeguards around Oahu and the state and the country. Lifeguard Appreciation Week. Our lifeguards train year-round to be able to respond in every kind of ocean condition imaginable. They got to make split-second critical decisions on life and death, and they put themselves in danger every day to protect everyone that visits our beaches. So they are the department. They are what makes ocean safety. So just a huge mahalo to all our lifeguards.
Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, just one more time, I want to embellish that a bit, because all of us, any of us, would obviously do anything that would be heroic if it was somebody we love, if perhaps it was one of our kids in the water or whatever else. That's understandable. It's a great human reaction. But the idea of having to do it for people you don't even know, understanding full well how dangerous, that is just an amazing thing. So again, mahalo to them, and I really appreciate, more than appreciate, I have the utmost respect. Words fail me in trying to express that. So let me just talk a little bit about the rest of it here. And so as it turns out, here we are on the eve of what we expect to be a pretty good weather event, if you will. Just having survived the Kona lows, obviously we're not anticipating anything near what that storm represented. That was a 500-year storm, as I was told, but I was told recently as this morning, it was actually a 1,000-year storm that dropped over 60 inches of rain on Oahu, more than 2 trillion gallons of water across the state. We had a couple of rain bombs in Manoa and Wailua that dropped more than 7 inches an hour. I mean, unprecedented events, very challenging to deal with. Fortunately, and this is a tribute to all of our first responders in the community in Wailua, not one person died, even though during that event, especially in Wailua, we had over 300 rescues. And I mean by a rescue is I'm talking about people who are truly in life and death situations. And that included our first responders. We were actually rescuing some of our first responders by other first responders who had gone into situations that they could have easily died in and nearly did. So we're not anticipating that storm. We don't want anybody to panic, but we want people to be prepared. As Kurt said, our lifeguards have been preparing all week. Well, I can tell you this right now, lessons learned from the Kona Low, we've been preparing all week across all departments. All of our first responders, be it fire, police, certainly EMS, and now ocean safety, are all on full alert. It's all hands on deck. Okay, we've done a lot of preparation work now. We will open up shelters tomorrow morning. I'm going to do a press conference later today specifically about this, at 8 a.m. I think we're going to open up 7. I'll double check that number. I got a lot of numbers in my head. But our anticipation for this storm and how we're going to deal with it, I can tell you right now, we're prepared. I want to promise the men and women of this island, the people of this island, that we are prepared and that you can count on us to do everything we can. But we cannot do it all by ourselves, okay? We cannot. So if anybody learned anything in this last event, we are not immune. Sometimes we watch television and we see reports on the mainland and we think, well, that's there, not here. We've just encountered something that was horrible. We are not immune from horrible event happening, and we need to be mindful of that. So we're asking all the people in this community, help us help you. Be prepared. If you live in a flood-prone area, don't wait. Get your family out of there if you think you're going to be in danger. Easily you could find places to go. The best time to prepare is when it's like this, if you will. So people should be giving a lot of thought to that today. We're anticipating the storm is going to happen late afternoon tomorrow as far as Oahu, into the evening, and Sunday. We're looking at this being perhaps just a 2-day event. This storm, unlike the Kona Low, which came and sat on us, is moving quickly. So, as I say all the time, not to be cliche, we can't control the storm, but we can control how we prepared. And I can promise you, we've prepared very thoroughly this week across all sectors. And the other thing is that, the best preparation happens in anticipation. So, I'm asking everybody to do what you have to do. Be smart, be safe. So with that, I'll turn it over to any questions at all. Anybody has of me, certainly of Kurt, or any concerns. Yep.
You mentioned the big surf. Obviously, we just have big hydro devices.
Yeah.
Talk about the difference when you see a big swell like that with lines and sets coming in and a hurricane that's passing close to the island generating the surf. People will hear big surf. What's the difference out in the water?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Typically, when we see south swells on this part of the island, the storm is generated from a very far distance, so it allows a lot of time for the swells to get organized into what we call sets. And there's a very long period of time in between the sets with very long lulls, sometimes upwards of 20 to 30 minutes. With this storm, the hurricane, tropical storm coming closer, it's a much closer storm. The swells will be less organized and much closer together. So you might see, we are expecting the swell to come up very quickly and then go down quickly, but it's going to be unique angles that we don't normally see from a long organized, long period swell. It's going to come in quick. They're going to be close together. It might be a little bit more relentless. The biggest thing with this right now is there's still so much uncertainty with the track of this storm and the intensity of it. So we're really just, from an ocean safety perspective, we're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. That's a great question, thank you. We were already extending our schedules and posture with staffing and resources because of the south swell, and we're just going to continue that right into the weekend.
What is those shifts?
Typically our shifts are 8 to 6:30. I think you will see lifeguards come on a little bit earlier in the morning, 7 just after sunrise, and then stay until sunset around 7:15, 7:30. So as the city and ocean safety, we don't have the authority to close the beach. That lies with the state. We will, based on the conditions and the lifeguards, what they are seeing, we will make recommendations to the state. Obviously, we will warn all the swimmers that are in the water, and we'll try to educate them and say, hey, it's not safe for you today. We really think you shouldn't be going in the water. And that might very well likely happen based on what we're expecting. Yeah.
Many times people have to go out into the water to do the rescue. At what point can you knock some jet skis out? How big can the waves have to be?
Yeah, thank you. How big can the waves be for our jet skis? I'm going to toot their horn a little bit. We have the best jet ski operators of anywhere in the world, and I have not seen conditions that they cannot handle. Again, they're going to make their own critical decisions based on the safety for themselves on what danger they place themselves in if it's big waves close to rocks, a cliff, or something like that. But we will typically be out in any type of conditions.
What's your message to those who are thinking this isn't something serious?
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
What's your message to those who are thinking this isn't something serious?
Yeah, you know, I think we got to be on our guard. If we get caught off guard, anything can change so quickly. You just need to take this serious. We want everyone to be prepared to take as the mayor was saying, we need the help for people to listen to the messaging. Anything can change faster than we might be able to respond to it, right? So we just want people to be proactively aware of what's going on, to take those safety measures, because otherwise then our lifeguards and other first responders have to put themselves in danger for a careless action or someone that wanted to go and experience something they didn't plan for.
I want to offer one other point of clarification because I wasn't exactly sure. 8 shelters tomorrow morning open up at 8 o'clock. And the other thing I want to mention, since I'm standing on the sands of Waikiki here, we are, and as Kurt said, well prepared, well organized, and that goes across all sectors. That's with the federal government, our state officials, and for that matter, our military. So we are aligned in a lot of ways. So if we have to close a beach, I don't think it's going to be very difficult, and we'll judge it, we'll base it on the call that our lifeguards feel we have to make. So that said, we're concerned about our tourists here. There's very special guests. They just came down Kalakaua Avenue. The place is full. We'll be communicating with them. We hope that nobody will get reckless, that they'll understand it. And I think the hotels are prepared to shelter, if you will, in place the people that are there and how they're going to conduct their own internal affairs. And at the same time, part of our reason for opening up the shelters ahead of time, we've been very involved this week with our homeless population. A couple of thousand people around this island in different places. We want to try to be sure we've already moved a lot into different places and try to make it available for them. In fact, quite honestly, I think most of our shelters will be filled with people like that, but everybody counts, everybody matters. So we've thought about everything we possibly can, and I just want to close and underscore. These storms, no matter what I say right now in this moment, I know full well can change in just a matter of hours, okay? One thing I said over and over again during the Kona lows was how unpredictable everything was, and we were trying to react to that. So I'm going to heed that out to everybody. Take that caution, okay? We don't know exactly what to expect. We will continue to communicate. We're going to be doing 2 conferences a day at 10 and 4. I don't think we could over-communicate. If you don't have HNL alert, please get that. If you don't get that, we'll be sending out weather emergency alerts if it's appropriate, when appropriate. And at the same time, check with all your local media stations. They're a great source of information. People have to pay attention, look to the sources to get that information. Information can save your life, okay? We can only do so much. So with that, I thank you all for being here today.